Okay. Hare Krishna, a very warm welcome to our session on Srimad Bhagavatam study. Today we are going to discuss the quiz, which is based on three chapters of Canto 1, Chapter 3, Chapter 4, and Chapter 5. In all, this is our 18th class. I will recite the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. Once again, a very warm welcome to all the devotees. So we will start the quiz. And in this quiz, there were two type of question paper. One question paper was a short answer question were given, and the response was to be recorded in the word limit roughly ranging from 75 to 100 words. And the second part was the multiple choice questions where a proper or a correct alternative was to be selected from maybe four or five different alternatives. So first of all, we will discuss the short answer questions. The first question was based on Lord Krishna, fountainhead of all avatars. Let us see how different devotees have answered these questions. So the very first question is, explain how Lord Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnations. It is based on verse number 28 and 29. So the verse that we just discussed in our shloka memorization class is the verse. The question is actually based on that verse. So what are the different points have you recorded in your response? Can you share with me? Who would like to mention? Maybe you can raise your hands and maybe I can invite you to respond. Anyone?
I can
Okay.
start, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay. Manish Prabhu, you can mention one point, then maybe we go to Anand Prada Mataji.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We said that all the incarnations of Lord are either plenary portions or portions of plenary portions of the Lord, and Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So all the incarnations appear on planets whenever
Mm-hmm.
there is a disturbance, uh, uh,
Lord Krishna is
but
the Supreme Lord
yeah,
Himself.
Lord Krishna is the, because he is complete in features of Godhead, and he is confirmed he is the source of all incarnations. Yeah.
Okay. So okay. But how have you explained this part in the answer? Have you mentioned something that actually clarifies this thing by giving some mention of specific words or so in the verse?
So
Yeah.
the Lord is full of opulences, all
Hmm.
fame, all beauty, all
Hmm.
knowledge,
Hmm.
and all renunciation. And he
Hmm.
is Swayam. Actually, he is particularly mentioned, confirm that. Krishna has no other source than himself.
Okay. So the word Swayam actually refers to that Krishna does not have any source,
Any other
uh,
source, any other source.
but other incarnations have a source.
Yes,
And who is that source?
it's Lord Krishna only.
It's Lord Krishna only. So Krishna is the original personality, which does not
Yes,
have a source, but all other incarnations actually are actually Krishna is the source. So that is one point, right? Okay.
yeah.
Now we give chance to Anand Prada Mataji. Any other point, Mataji, that you have mentioned here?
No, Prabhuji, I have the same.
Same.
Yeah, they appear whenever the atheists create a disturbance in the world, and
Mhm.
that's why the incarnations appear.
Okay, very nice. So I also have a very similar response, but maybe there are one or two points a little bit I have added here. So first of all, I have explained it like this. Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 28, is the most conclusive, unambiguous, declarative, absolute, and categorical in establishing the supremacy of Lord Krishna. It is the Paribhasha Sutra of Bhagavatam. Then I have mentioned the verse. Now, if you remember the verse, it will be very easy to mention the verse also if this question is asked to you in exam. So, ete cha amsha kala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. And then Krishna is the source of all incarnations. All incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. Huh? Then the word Swayam is particularly mentioned to confirm that Lord Krishna has no other source than himself. The Sammam Bonam Krishna is one without a second. Then more points are, this is what Manish ji also mentioned, this is Anand Prada Mataji also mentioned, but there are one or two more points. Then I have emphasized little bit on the word tu here, tu. So the word tu, which actually means but, also identifies Lord Krishna is different from the list of incarnations presented from verses 136 to 1327. So you will remember that there is a long list of multiple incarnations given from starting from verse number 6 till 27. But in verse number 28, it is mentioned that although this list is there, but Lord Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam. So the use of word tu is quite indicative that Krishna is different in the whole list. And what is that difference? That Krishna is actually the Swayam Bhagavan. Then the last point is actually covering the verse 29th. Uh, what is verse 29th? Verse 29th is actually the Falashruti of Bhagavatam. Simplify reciting divine birth and activities of the Lord with devotion, one can overcome all miseries. So, speciality of reciting Lord Krishna's name, Lord Krishna's glory, is also given in verse 29. So, verse 28 and verse 29 actually gives a very strong account of how Lord Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnations. So that is the response. Okay, now let us move to the second one.
Can we add one thing also?
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Krishna has 64 principal attributes or
Right.
principal attributes.
Yeah, we can add that also. I have limited my response mainly based on the verse, the Sanskrit that is given. You can add extra points referring that Srila Prabhupada in the purport have given some extra points in order to mention these things. You can also bring Bhagavad Gita references like uh, there's a reference in Bhagavad Gita, uh, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. Lord Krishna mentions in 10th chapter, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. That verse you can mention. Then you can also mention verse number 4.9, Janma Karmacha Me Divyam Evam Yo Veti Tatvatha, because that 4.9 actually is similar message like in verse number 29, that simply by reciting divine birth and activities of Lord, one can overcome all miseries. Similarly, 4.9 in Bhagavad Gita mention the same thing, that Lord Krishna is saying that my birth and activities are divine. One who remembered it by fact, by tattva, he doesn't come he doesn't come back to this material world. He comes to me. Like this. And then like this you can develop depending upon the word limit, you can develop your response accordingly.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Actually, Prabhupada in his purport, he
Hmm.
mentioned all the other avatars, they don't use the complete the qualities of Bhagavan. Bhagavan has got the
Right,
qualities.
100%.
And
Yeah.
everything is illustrated and
Hmm.
different avatars, how they are giving that
Correct.
potential, this explained. And finally, Prabhupada concludes this purpose saying that Krishna uses the complete energy, complete all his this thing, and he says that about the pastimes in the Vrindavan along with the gopis and the cowherd, it is the topmost this thing. In Krishna Avatara, Lord uses all his potentials, whereas in other avatara, he uses only part of his manifestations.
Yes, Prabhu.
That
Yes.
is what he is giving. So I
Correct.
thought that may be the more suitable answer for this. I'm sorry, I may be excused, but I thought because I went through the purpose, he has given us all the examples, what Narasimha Avatara did, what the other avatars did, all these things are being explained, and only a part of the potential of the Lord is being utilized. Whereas as Krishna, he executes all his the Bhagavan qualities, all the six this thing exhibits. I thought that also is an additional valid point which we have to mention. I thought I will share this with you.
I agree with you, Prabhuji. I have fully in agreement with you. Generally, when we are responding to these questions, this is my personal preference actually. When we are mentioning something from the scriptures, like the Sanskrit verses, so if the point that we want to elaborate can come from the Sanskrit verse directly, because here whatever is mentioned in the Sanskrit verse, that actually is my first preference to mention in my response. And in order to build upon that response, we can mention Prabhupada's points in the purport. We can mention maybe other points that are not in the purport, but we know from our knowledge, like in Bhagavad Gita and maybe other scriptures. So something similar we can add. Now, for example, if this question was of word limit, say for example 500 words. Now, in that case, you need more points. Then we can continue to elaborate. But that is specific verse from the Shastra. If we can bring out that point which the question or the examiner has asked us, that is the first preference, at least personally for me, because Shastra Praman is the best Praman. Now, what the Sadhu is saying, certainly that is also very a strong argument, but I would actually keep it maybe after I have given the Shastra Praman. That's how I generally handle these questions. Okay.
Agreed, Prabhu. Agreed, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So let us now go to the second question. Bhagavatam's glories. Write 10 points on glorification of Bhagavatam, referring verses from verse number 40 till 44. So 5 verses are there in Bhagavatam. There are multiple good characteristics of Bhagavatam are given in these verses. So have you mentioned any of those? Can you, maybe we'll give a chance to devotees here. Devotees can mention 2 points and then another devotee can mention another 2 points, like maybe 4 or 5 devotees can together respond to this question. So yes, Manish Prabhu, yeah, you would like to mention?
Yes, Prabhu. So Srimad Bhagavatam is a literally incarnation of God compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, and he describes activities and qualities of Lord Krishna. Yeah?
Okay, so 2 points. I have also mentioned the same in first 2 points. Brahma Samitam. So Bhagavatam is actually avatar of Lord Shri Krishna. So when you are holding Bhagavatam in your hand, actually you are holding Lord Krishna. It's quite serious to think like that, isn't it? Uttama Shloka Charitam describes the activities of the Supreme Lord. So Manish Prabhu mentioned 2 points. Maybe other devotees can mention another 2 points.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, Jivan Prabhu. Another 2 points, maybe next 2 points.
In Srimad Bhagavatam, historical facts selected from the histories of different this thing, have been depicted. It is therefore accepted by all the spiritual authorities as the Mahapurana. That is one point. Srimad
Hmm.
Bhagavatam is the cream of Vedic literature. That is
Mhm.
another thing I want to
Okay.
this thing. Just like
Okay.
the milk portion of knowledge, like
Hmm.
that, that is that.
Yeah.
With analogy is given that. That is
Okay.
that. Those 2 points I want to add. Is
Okay,
in
Prabhu. Very
Mahapurana and
yes, yes.
also is the cream of Vedic knowledge.
Cream of Vedic literature. Okay.
Yeah.
2 points. Okay, more points. Maybe other devotees.
He is all bliss, means Bhagavatam is the all blissful and everlasting for all the
Hmm.
life.
Sorry, Mataji, we lost you. We lost your
So
voice. Hmm.
Bhagavatam, I mean, this is all blissful, all perfect,
Hmm.
ever refreshing for all the life.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Is a
Okay.
peace in society.
But is it mentioned all refreshing? Let me check in the verse number 340. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, Mataji, thank you. Maybe other devotees can add to those points.
Hare
It
Krishna,
is,
Yes, yes, Ishwar Prabhuji. Yes.
it is meant for the ultimate good of all people of Kali Yuga,
Okay,
because
very
they
good.
are totally bereft of knowledge of religion, etc.
Right. Okay, very nice. More. Okay. Any other point?
It also came up at a time, at a very important time in history, when Lord Krishna had departed for his own abode. And
Uh-huh.
Bhagavatam arose in his absence as a sunlight on the dark
Uh-huh.
horizon of Kali Yuga.
Uh-huh. Okay, wonderful. Okay. Other points? Other
And
points?
as God is all light, all bliss, and all perfection, so also is Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is Sri Krishna himself. Perhaps it is already
Yeah, discussed. Correct. So I think many points have covered. Any other point devotees would like to mention? Vidya Mataji, you like to say something?
yes.
Yeah.
It tells us that the real religion is to know God, our relationship, our duties towards Him.
Oh no, but that is not in verse number 40 to 44. That is something coming in chapter number, I think, chapter number 2. That is Sa Vai Pumsa Paro Dharma. So we need to focus mainly on 40 to 44. So
Prabhuji, it conveys that at the end of one must remember Narayana. That is the essence of spiritual activities.
where does it mention, in which verse? That is the purpose is to remember Narayana. I mean, because I have given you the specific verse 40 to 44. So need to
वर्ष में
base
है
your
तो किसी
how much
वर्ष में तो है.
किस वर्ष में वो, that's what I am searching actually. In 40th anyway, I could not remember that it mentioned that the purpose is to remember Narayana in 40, 44, 41, 42, 43, 44. But okay, anyway, the yes,
41 is the, it talks about cream of all scriptures.
yeah, that Ishwar Prabhu mentioned, cream of all scriptures is correct. I think Jivan Prabhu also mentioned. Yeah. So let
one
me,
more thing can
yes,
be,
Prabhu.
it must be learned taking help from a bona fide spiritual master.
Correct. Parampara. Parampara. That is a
Yes,
correct
yes.
point. Yes. Parampara. So let me share the points that I have gathered for this answer. So Brahma Samhitam, we covered these first 2 points. Then Chakar Bhagavan Rishi, a compilation by Lord's incarnation. So this is it is a compilation by Vyasdev, and Lord Vyasdev, Srila Vyasdev actually is the incarnation of the Lord, literary incarnation of the Lord. So this is not an ordinary personality. He's the incarnation of the Lord himself has compiled this. Then Nihashreyasya, Nishreya Saya, Lokasya, for the ultimate good of people. That I think Ishwar Prabhu also mentioned. Then Dhanyam Swasti Ayanam Mahat, all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Yes, I think here it is what Anand Prada Mataji was mentioning. So it is Dhanyam Swasti Ayanam Mahat. Wonderful. Then Sarva Veda Itihasanam Saram, cream of all scriptures. Then Dharma Jnana Adibhihi, accompanied by dharma and knowledge. Because now Lord Krishna has left the earth planet, So where the dharma and knowledge has taken shelter, it is Srimad Bhagavatam. So dharma jnana adibihi. Then Purana Arkaha, it is as brilliant as sun. And then Kalau Nashta Drisham dispels the darkness of people in Kali Yuga. And then Parampara, Vyas to Shukdev to Suta Goswami. So Vyasdev gave this knowledge to Shukdev Goswami, and Shukdev Goswami gave this knowledge to Suta Goswami. So like this, there are several points on Bhagavatam's glory in these 5 verses. Okay. Now let us go to the third one. Personal realization. Now this is a very important question. How does Srila Prabhupada explain the meaning word personal realization in his purport to Bhagavatam 1.4.1? So any takes on that?
Ravi, can I?
Yes, Rakeshji, please.
Personal realizations means that one must have full confidence in previous acharya, and at the same time he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it, yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization.
Very good. So these are the points what Rakesh Prabhuji mentioned. I also captured those points only. But let us repeat it. Personal realization does not mean that one should, out of vanity, show one's own learning by surpassing previous acharyas. So this is not a forum for display of your knowledge. That is not the forum. The idea is to purify oneself. When the speaker speaks Bhagavatam, he purifies himself, and the listeners also purify themselves. That should be the mood and the objective of speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. Then preacher must have full confidence in the previous acharya. At the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present it in different circumstances. So like, for example, we know, if we know the concept, if we know the message, if we understand the technicalities, if we understand the deeper aspects of a subject, then we can explain the subject in our own style. It need not be that it has to be verbatim. It has to be exactly in the same words, in the same sentences as we have heard from the our teachers. No, not necessary. But the ultimate message should be the same. Original purpose should be maintained. No obscure meaning should be derived. The message should be presented in an interesting manner. Interesting manner could mean that you can present by making slides, by maybe doing some other nice presentation. Maybe you can present it by singing the shlokas and then presenting it in a very exciting manner. Like if you see in Vrindavan, there are a lot of Bhagavad Kathakars, and if you listen to their katha, they actually come together with a full orchestra, and then they recite the verse in a very melodious tone, and then they will very dramatically, in a very dramatic way, they will narrate the story of Bhagavatam. That catches the attention of the audience, that entertains the audience like that. And then parampara is very important. So this parampara part is very, very significant here. We should understand that there are 4 bona fide paramparas in Vaishnava Sampradaya. So we should present the message only what we have heard in parampara. There are many other people who are speaking about Srimad Bhagavatam, but they don't actually present the parampara message. They might present their message in their own style or their own conclusions. So that we should completely reject. We should not take that kind of message. So parampara is also very important. Okay, now we go to the 4th one. 2 categories of literature. What are the 2 categories of literature described in Canto 1, Chapter 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam?
Are they the materialistic and transcendental?
Yes, Mataji. One is materialistic and transcendental. So you would like to mention any characteristics or speciality of materialistic literature that is presented in Srimad Bhagavatam? So materialistic literature is one. What are the specific qualities that are mentioned in the the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam about this materialistic literature?
Talk
Few
about
things.
the names,
Yes.
glories of the Lord's name, deeds,
Uh-huh.
activities.
So these are devoid of Lord's glories.
Yeah.
And there is a very good analogy given of about such literature, which is
Prabhuji, I just had a different way of putting it. I said there are two types of literatures. One we can say as a crow, and another analogy with a swan. Crow is swan is a type of literature that is preferred by jnanis and spiritualists and transcendentalists, and that talks about the glories of the Lord's name, deed, activities, and this thing. And then crow is represented by the literature, which is for sense gratification and which is for impersonal realization.
Very good. Okay.
Those kind of literature.
Wonderful. I think you covered all the points. So I also mentioned something very similar. I probably missed the swan part. I think I should add that also in my response. So devoid of Lord's glory, such literatures are like pilgrimage for crows. This is materialistic literature. And then the such literature discuss mundane topics in modes of passion and ignorance. Vasudevan Prabhu also mentioned same thing. Even if perfectly composed, these are rejected by the saintly. So another point is they may be very grammatically correct. They may be using very nice figure of speech, very nice ornamentation, alankar in their text, but that doesn't make them nice. So these are rejected by the saintly. And transcendental literature, such literature are full of glories of Lord's glories and can bring revolution in the lives of impious people. And even if these are imperfectly composed, these are sung, heard, and accepted by saintly. So on the contrary, transcendental literature, even if they are imperfectly composed, the grammar may not be correct. The grammar may not be correct. The use of ornamentation may not be there. But if the message is clear, if the message is according to parampara, they are heard and accepted by the saintly. So that is the two different literatures. Very nice, Prabhuji. Defects in Vyasa's work. What are the defects in Vyasadev's work that Narad Muni identified in Srimad Bhagavatam from 8 to 22?
May I, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, why not? Please.
One is not identified the glories of the personality of Godhead. Secondly, overemphasis on four push arthas, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha.
Okay.
Moksha.
Yes, very good.
Vyasdeva emphasized on mind and body.
Yeah. So
Narad
here, please go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Very correct. Both the reasons are very nice. So Narad Muni identified two defects: insufficient glorification of the Lord. So Vyasadev had not sufficiently described the Lord's spotless glories. Philosophy that does not satisfy the Lord's senses is worthless. Then overemphasis on four purusharthas. So the word is overemphasis. Vyas did not repeatedly glorify the Lord to the extent he described dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. Vyasadev has described various paths such as demigod worship, karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti. This actually has confused the people in general. So there are two reasons: insufficient glorification and overemphasis on four purusharthas. So Naradji was saying that you could have described four purusharthas, but you actually went too far. You described them too much. And you should have described Lord's glories too much, but you described only very little. And another point is that you described multiple paths: karma, jnana, bhakti, yoga, etc., but have not really brought out the message of bhakti in sufficient detail so that people are very clear that actually bhakti is the main message. So bhakti, because you have not done so, people are confused, and people are actually taking to different meanings of the what is the essence of the Vedas and so on. And that is why they are getting confused. They are indulging in all kind of material sense gratificatory activities in the name of scriptures. That is what actually you have not done the right thing. So these are the two defects. So this completes our I would say short answer type questions. Now we go to the multiple choice questions. So this should be very relatively easy. I think many of you have done these multiple choice questions. As I remember, I think 14 responses I have received, and I see only 14 people in the class today. So I think most of you have done the quiz, and most of you have got very good marks. Only one mistake that was there from my side was that for few questions I forgot to record the correct answer. So when you would have received your marks, probably you might have received some less marks. So kindly once again refer to the quiz, and then you will know what are your right marks. So I apologize for the mistake. Will be more careful in the future. So we will start the first question. Mahat Tattva. What is Mahat Tattva? Contains all ingredients of material creation. Contains all ingredients of material creation, including conditioned souls. Contains all ingredients of spiritual creation. It acquires a major space in the whole of spiritual sky. What is the correct answer?
Contains all ingredients of material creation, including conditioned souls.
Including conditioned souls. Very correct, Mataji. Very nice. So that is the correct answer. Correct. And what about option D? It acquires a major space in the whole of spiritual sky. What is your opinion about it? Mahat Tattva.
But if you have to pick one, I think the B is the best. I don't think so. The fourth is.
Okay, roughly how much
It
space?
acquires only a small portion in the spiritual sky.
Only a small portion. So roughly in Prabhupada purports, generally the figure or rough estimate given is 25%. 75% is the spiritual creation, and in one of the corners, it is something like only 25% of material creation. So what is Mahat Tattva? If we have to understand in very simple words, it is actually ingredients for creating material creation. So there is a spiritual creation, and the Lord, when he wants to create something, a material creation, he uses some material, and this material, using this material, he generates this all the planets, all the material creation like that. And that material creation also includes the conditioned souls. That is also part of the Mahat Tattva. So the correct answer is B. Let us move to the next one. Second Purush Avatar. Who among the following is second Purush Avatar? Mahavishnu, Shirodakshai Vishnu, Karanodakshai Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Correct answer. Yes, Ishwar Prabhu, you want to say? Okay, Anand Mataji, yes, you want to say?
Garbhodai.
Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Okay, Garbhodakshai Vishnu is the second one. Okay, what is the difference between Mahavishnu and Karanodakshai Vishnu? A and C.
Yeah, they are the same, correct, Prabhu?
They are the same. They are the same. Correct. Okay.
Yes.
So who's the first one? Who's the first one?
Karanodakshai Vishnu.
Karanodakshai Vishnu. So that means Mahavishnu is also the first one, because
Yes.
that is same as Karanodakshai Vishnu, and Shirodakshai Vishnu is the third one.
Emanating from Garbhodakshai Vishnu.
Emanating from Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Correct. So the correct answer is D. Very nice. Source of all avatars. Which Purush avatar among the following is the source of all avatars? Actually, source of all avatars, ultimate source is Lord Krishna. But here the question is specific. Which Purush avatar is the source of all avatars? So who is the source of this Purush avatar? The source of this Purush avatar. Okay, we will discuss this. Which Purush avatar among the following is the source of all avatar? Mahavishnu, Shirodakshai Vishnu, Karanodakshai Vishnu, and Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Again, the same
Garbhodakshai Vishnu.
Okay, why not Shirodakshai Vishnu, Prabhu?
No, but Shirodakshai Vishnu is coming from Garbhodakshai Vishnu, correct?
Oh, very good, very good, very good. So you are already an expert now. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, are you agreeing? Others are also agreeing?
आपने कारणोदक्षाई लिखा हुआ है आंसर में?
हाँ वो थोड़ी हाँ गड़बड़ हुई थी प्रभु जी. Yes, then I think
Oh, sorry. Okay.
इसको भी हमें wrong मिला था आंसर, but we stick to the same answer.
Okay.
नंबर कट गया प्रभु जी हमारा तो।
हाँ नहीं मैं सर मैं ठीक कर दूंगा, मुझसे ये ऑफेंस हो गया. मैं आई विल करेक्ट इट. सो द करेक्ट आंसर एक्चुअली इज गर्भोदक्षाय विष्णु. यू आर राइट. मे बी मेरे से मिस्टेक हुआ वहां पे. I will correct it. I will check it and correct it. So you will get 1 marks with full dignity. Sorry for the.
Prabhuji, I was
Yes.
thinking Chirodakshai Vishnu is the main this thing. From
Yeah.
Garbhodakshai, Chirodakshai, from Chirodakshai Vishnu, you know, that's what you were given in the class. I remember it was like that. I have seen that. I
No.
thought Chirodakshai Vishnu is this
No,
thing.
Shirodakshay Vishnu actually becomes the agent when the devatas actually go to Lord Vishnu. So this is the Shirodakshay Vishnu they go to. But Shirodakshay Vishnu actually comes from Garbhodakshay Vishnu only. So Shirodakshay Vishnu is something like a Guna avatar. So like Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. So these are 3 Guna avatars. So like that, these 3 Guna avatars also come from Garbhodakshay Vishnu. These 3 Guna avatars also come from Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So that is why in verse number 135, if you see, Garbhodakshay Vishnu has been mentioned as the source of all incarnations. So you need to refer to 135.
Even Prabhuji, your slide pack clearly mentioned Garbhodakshay Vishnu is the source of all avatars.
Yeah.
So Prabhuji, what you're showing in the slide is a wrong answer.
Yeah, Mataji, I need to correct it. Let me do it now itself. So the correct answer is Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and let me make it correct. Okay. So thank you everyone, and my apologies for that mixed, mistake. Now the third one is.
A little jolt here and there is good. It gives more stimulation. Yes.
No, sometimes the jolt might be a little shocking to people. Say, I think I did the right thing, but I am not getting marks.
Yes.
It happened.
Yeah.
So it can discourage a weak-hearted person like me also. Okay. So move to the next one. When Bhagavatam was written, Lord Buddha had already incarnated. True and false, and not sure. There are 3 options. False. Okay. So when Bhagavatam was written, Lord Buddha did not incarnate, right? So Bhagavatam actually could predict. It could predict that what is going to happen 500 years from now. So that is something very exciting to know, isn't it? So sometimes Buddhists might come to you, might deal with some Buddhist. You can tell that we know about Lord Buddha's incarnation 500 years before even Lord Buddha came. In Bhagavatam, actually, it is mentioned. Actually, in Bhagavatam, I think Samrat Ashok is also mentioned, that he will come. That prophecy is also there. Probably we'll see in one of those cantos, if I remember correctly.
Prabhuji, but here one thing just wanted to ask you. If you see the purport or whatever, the Bhagavatam paragraph, it says Bhagavatam was composed at the beginning age of Kali about 5,000 years ago. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So sorry, 2,500 years later. 2,500 years later, not 500. 2,500 years later. So Bhagavatam was composed 5,000 years ago, and Lord Buddha came. Lord Buddha came 2,500 years before, after Bhagavatam was composed.
2,600 years ago.
Yeah, somewhere like that. So sorry, I mentioned 500. 500 was not the right number. Yeah.
2,500.
So the correct answer is false. Okay, source of Krishna's avatar. Who is the source of incarnation of Lord Krishna? Brahman, Absolute Truth, None, and Parabrahman.
None.
So now you already know, we have already discussed this in the Shloka memorization class. So none is the correct answer. So Lord Krishna doesn't have any source. So now, do you know the answer of which came first, chicken and the egg? Because that question generally people ask. which came first, chicken and the egg? So you should tell them Krishna is the source of everything. Krishna is the source of egg also. Krishna is the source of chicken also. So that is the answer here. Janma jasya yataha. Okay. Okay. Match the following. This is the question which I think was being mentioned in the previous one. Lord Krishna. How do you respond to that? If you just see that 100%. Okay. Lord Vishnu.
93%.
94.
93. 94.
Wow. In your quiz, it was 94%. Return.
Okay. Maybe I did not round it off properly in this one. So Lord Shiva.
78% full.
84%.
84.
84. 84.
84,
Lord
yeah.
Brahma. Lord Brahma.
78%.
Full.
Full. Yeah.
Full.
And demigods.
78%.
Less.
Less than
And
70.
living entity.
Very
Even
small.
less.
78%,
Very small.
Very
Up
small.
to
Okay. Up to. Okay. So now you know about the various attributes these various personalities have. So one of the in one of the classes, this reminds me of one of the classes I was hearing. In that class, the speaker was saying that do you know who is the perfect Vaishnava? The perfect Vaishnava, he is someone who knows whose position is what. So like Lord Krishna is 100%, Lord Vishnu is 93%, Lord Shiva is 84%. So the Vaishnava knows the position of each and every living entity in this material universe. So that is the one of the very exciting definition I have heard about who is the complete Vaishnava. Relationship of Lord with material world. Okay, very nice. Lord relationship with material nature can be described using which analogy? Milk is related to curd. Milk can be transformed as curd, but not vice versa. Is this correct option?
No, Prabhu. Next one.
No.
Next
Okay.
one is that.
As one smells the odor without being connected with the odorous article.
Yes,
That
So
is
this is
B
that's
is
better.
the correct answer.
okay. As river is connected to sea, river flows towards the sea and finally meets.
No.
Okay. As air is related with smell, air carries the aroma of the place where it flows. Okay. Now you have correctly identified that the B is the correct analogy, right analogy. But can you tell me from where this analogy A is coming from? And what is this analogy regarding? Milk is related to curd. Milk can be transformed as curd, but not vice versa. What actually is this analogy is coming from where? This is actually an analogy from scripture only.
That is
Yes.
also, only in Bhagavatam.
Yes.
That is that. I mean, again, that the question also is coming. The future question. It is one of the points. Actually, it is one of the question. In the end of the fag end of this quiz, one more question is that.
No.
There
It is not. It
connected.
is not that. That analogy is different, Prabhu. This is something else.
This analogy was regarding the creation of certain diseases by milk and by
No.
using
No. That is not the. That will come later in the quiz itself. That is not the analogy. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Lord Shiva, Prabhu.
Lord Shiva. Very good. Very good. So what is the analogy, Prabhu?
Is like curd that cannot be transformed into milk, but milk can be transformed into curd.
Okay. So what is milk here?
Milk is
Milk.
Lord Krishna.
Milk is Lord Krishna and curd is Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva.
So that is the very right answer. And where is this analogy coming? Where is this analogy originally mentioned? It is mentioned in Brahma Samhita. This is mentioned in Brahma Samhita. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Okay. Okay. The sea. Where is this analogy coming from? River is connected to sea. River flows towards sea and finally meets. From where it is coming? Option C. This is coming from Kunti Maharani's prayers, where there is a comparison between river and ocean. So impersonalists generally compare river and ocean, that river actually meets the ocean and become one with the ocean. But Kunti Maharani is saying that, praying to Lord Krishna, she's saying that my mind should flow towards you the same way as Ganga is flowing towards the ocean. So here the emphasis in this analogy in the prayer of Queen Kunti is flowing towards the Lord, uh, moving towards the Lord. That is the main focus. But generally the other like impersonalists use similar analogies, not the Queen Kunti prayer, but similar analogy to emphasize on oneness. Okay, where is the fourth analogy coming from? I think this you should identify.
Is it from Bhagavad Gita, Prabhuji?
This is coming from Bhagavad Gita. From which chapter, Prabhu? If you recall, I think it is from 15th chapter, isn't it? Maybe you can check. 6th or 7th verse probably. Anyway, side tracking, but maybe.
Prabhuji, this also was shown as wrong answer.
Yeah, because Mataji, I forgot to identify the correct answer in the quiz. Now I have done
Okay.
all those. I have done all those corrections, and the
Okay.
system has added marks to your attempt, your question.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you can review that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Ideal behavior of a sannyasi. Which of the following qualities constitute an ideal behavior of a sannyasi? Dedicated to the mission of preaching the message of Supreme Lord. Inspire the householders in the transcendental goal of life. Should not get allured by the glamour of the householders' worldly possessions. All of the above. What is the correct answer? Should be
All
any
of
one.
the above.
All of the above. So in what context this verse was mentioned? 1.4.8. Why this was being discussed in Bhagavatam?
Related to Sutta Goswami.
Suta Goswami or Shukdev Goswami?
Shukdev Goswami. Sorry. Shukdev Goswami.
Shukdev Goswami, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
this is it was mentioned that Shukdev Goswami would only stay for the period that a cow could be milked.
Yes.
Sa
Yeah.
godohan matram hi graheshu graha medhinam. So how come Shukdev Goswami actually spent 7 days narrating Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj? So that was the discussion, isn't it? Okay. Ideal king. What should be the behavior of an ideal king? Should provide protection to all living entities, including animals, especially cows. His interest should align with that of the Supreme Lord. He should ensure that the kingdom is sufficiently opulent to provide enough food, grains, fruits, vegetables to the subjects. All of the above. Correct
All of
answer?
the above.
All of
All
the
of
above.
the above.
All of the above. Right. Now here, from this question, you should know whom to vote in the elections. Isn't it? So I'm not hinting any party, but I'm just giving you a sufficient food for thought that how we should select a political party in the elections. Who's more closer to these kind of uh, principles?
But Prabhuji, in your state, it went wrong.
Sorry, Prabhu.
In your state, it went wrong.
Yeah. I mean, because it is Kali Yuga, Prabhu. So not everyone will think like that. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have a question to this. It is mentioned that why the young king Parikshit Maharaj thought of dying. What's the reason? He was so good. What made him die like this?
What made him die like this?
Yes. Why should he choose to die at such a young age? What was his compulsion?
Yeah, that question the sages are also asking, and the answer will come, Prabhuji. That is the question has been asked, but the answer has been mentioned in the later chapter. So we will study in the future class.
Because somebody
Because of the curse, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
because of the curse, but the king Parikshit Maharaj was empowered enough that he could have counter cursed, or have nullified the effect of the curse. It is something like that also mentioned in the Bhagavatam, but he did
Oh.
not choose to do that, and maybe the reason is somewhere in the later chapters.
Okay, okay. Because that was confusing
Hmm.
at this stage.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Realization versus mantra chanting. Realization of scriptural knowledge is more important than chanting of Vedic mantras. True, false? What is the correct answer?
True.
True. So this should not be any difficult for the devotees to answer. Okay. Fifth Veda. Puranas and Mahabharata are known as the fifth Veda. Which Upanishad mentions this? Ishopanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Kathopanishad, Shvetashvatara Upanishad,
Chandogya Upanishad.
Chandogya.
Chandogya Upanishad. So sometimes some spiritual organizations, or I would say sects, don't recognize Puranas and Mahabharata. They say that we only recognize the Vedas. We don't consider Puranas and Mahabharata as part of the Veda. It is not Vedic literature. So the Chandogya Upanishad clearly mentions it, and Chandogya Upanishad is part of the Veda. So the Veda itself mentioned that Puranas and Mahabharata are actually part of Vedic literature. Simplification of Vedic knowledge. Vyasdev divided Vedas into 4 parts and compiled Mahabharata for which of the following reasons? Now here more than one alternative may be correct. To spread the knowledge of Vedas far and wide. To end the monopoly of Brahmanas over Vedic knowledge. Less intelligent class of people can also understand the Vedic knowledge. To spread the Vedic knowledge among those who were in Sattvaguna. So what is the right answer? Or answers?
Prabhuji,
Yes, Prabhu.
A, B, C.
So you mentioned A, B, and C.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other?
A and C.
A and C.
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
So Anand
I
Prada
also
Mataji
mentioned
mentioned.
ABC.
Okay. Rakesh ji also mentioned A, B, C. Anand Prada Mataji mentioned A and C. Okay. So Prabhuji, what has been the basis of mentioning B? In which verse it is mentioned that it was to end the monopoly of Brahmanas? Where did you find it?
It is there, Prabhuji, but you can give me some time.
Yeah.
It
Please,
is there.
please let me know.
See, the simple answer is
Hmm.
that it did not end the monopoly of Brahmanas, because even after division, the learning of Vedas is largely restricted to Brahmanas only, even till today, so to say.
Hmm.
The Vedas are not other castes are not allowed to read the Vedas. So that cannot be the reason for dividing.
Yeah. But here he's saying अज्ञानी जन समूह पर अत्यंत कृपालु ऋषि व्यास देव ने वेदों का संकलन किया. So अज्ञानी जन समूह means for those who are not knowledgeable enough, less intelligent. And then Sri Shudra Dvija Bandhu Nam Trai Na Shruti Gochara Karma Shreyasi Mudha Nam Shreya Evam Bhavedahi. So here then he compiled Mahabharat mainly for the less intelligent people. So generally I would say the answer is A and C. I don't think the answer is B. I don't think I could not find anything that it was about to end the monopoly of Brahmanas.
मोनोपोली का जिक्र तो आया प्रभु जी.
Where?
आपके क्लास में आया प्रभु जी, मैं स्लाइड नहीं ढूंढ पा रहा हूँ.
Yes, Prabhuji, I also agree with Rakesh Prabhuji, because I definitely remember hearing from your mouth.
Let me, okay, maybe for the time being, just not to spend too much time on this, I also think the answer is A and C.
प्रभु जी
I could-
1.4.24 के purport में प्रभु जी
हाँ वही मैं देख रहा हूँ.
misconception वाले में हो सकता है हमारी understanding
Actually,
हो।
Prabhuji, in 1424, in the
हाँ.
purport, you are given a class of men who claim Brahminical qualification simply by their birthright in the family of a Brahmana, claim that they study the Vedas is a monopoly of the Brahmana caste only. Another
Huh.
section of the people take this as an injustice to members of other castes who do not
Huh.
happen to take birth in a Brahmana family, but
Huh.
both are misguided.
Both are misguided, right? Both are misguided means that it is not, it is only a description. What is mentioned in the purport is Prabhupada is actually mentioning that these are generally two mentalities are there regarding this. That is only the monopoly of Brahmanas, and the other thing that actually it is injustice to us. And Prabhupada is saying that actually both are misguided. Both who think like this are misguided. So that is why I am saying that this is not the reason why Vyasdev divided Vedas into 4 parts and compiled Mahabharata. That is not the reason, right? Clear, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Let us move to the next one. Clear, Rakesh ji? Ishwar
प्रभु
Prabhu
जी
ji?
2 नंबर मारे गए प्रभु जी।
अरे अरे नंबर आते रहेंगे अभी, कोई बात नहीं. आप कर्म करें, फल पर आपका अधिकार नहीं है, फल पर अधिकार भगवान.
और लास्ट वाला थोड़ा मिस हो गया।
कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, नंबर तो आते रहेंगे. Essence of Vedas. The book Mahabharata contains within it the essence of Vedic knowledge in the form of Puran, Upanishad, Itihas, Bhagavad Gita. Correct answer.
Bhagavad Gita.
So Vyasdev very strategically placed Bhagavad Gita in Mahabharata, and Mahabharata is all about action, drama, excitement, politics, royal conspiracy theories, etc., etc. A very exciting book. But in that exciting book, he placed Bhagavad Gita, the essence of Vedic literature, so that people, they read Mahabharata and they also read Bhagavad Gita. But probably Vyasdev did not realize that when they will read Mahabharata, when the portion of Bhagavad Gita will come, people will skip the pages and once again start reading Mahabharata from after Bhagavad Gita has ended. So they will skip. So that probably Vyasdev may not have realized. So correct answer is Bhagavad Gita. Naishkarmya. Okay, we had a good discussion on this topic in our classes. What is the meaning of word Naishkarmya? Action which does not produce any action. Karma. Transcendental activities. All of the above. What is the answer?
All of the above.
All of the above.
प्रभु जी जहाँ all of the above होता है वो तो confirm है।
So that is another formula. Okay, but I try to make the question like this, that you get a good idea of the it is more from the education perspective rather than challenging you in terms of that you get a good idea of what does this word mean. So all of the above. Now, what do you mean by transcendental activities? Can anyone explain what is meant by transcendental activities? What is meant by the word transcendental? What do you mean by the word transcendental?
Activities that are purely related to God, godliness.
Spiritual, transcendental means spiritual world. Anything related to spiritual world.
The mode of Shuddha Sattva.
Okay, Shuddha Sattva, spiritual world related to God. Okay, maybe I think I would say Vasudevan Prabhu's answer is most closer to what I want to hear, but I like to hear a little more deeper understanding of the word transcendental. What does the word transcend means? Leave alone a spiritual subject matter. In general, from
transcend means get beyond the 3 gunas.
Get beyond.
Gunatita is
Gunatita. Correct. So transcend means to cross over. Transcend means to cross over. So the activities which are directed, which are aimed to cross over this material existence are known as transcendental activities. If you see chapter number 4, Srila Prabhupada write that topic of that chapter 4, title of that chapter 4 is a transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge. So transcendental knowledge means what? The knowledge which will help you to transcend the material world and go to the spiritual world, enter into the spiritual realm. Those are the transcendental activities. Those transcendental activities may not necessarily be bhakti activities. They could be dhyan yoga activities, they could be gyan yoga activities also. Say meditating upon impersonal Brahman is also a transcendental activity. It is not because Brahman exists after the material creation ends. That's where the Brahman exists. The Brahman, the effulgence of the Supreme Lord, uh, where it starts, the Brahman, where it starts, that is where the spiritual realm starts. So even meditating on impersonal Brahman is a transcendental activity. So Nashkarmya, we should have a very good understanding of the word Nashkarmya. So what was this verse all about? 5:12. What was this verse all about? What was this verse all about? 5:12. Nashkarmyam appi achyuta bhavam varjitam. So even if the activity is transcendental, but it is devoid of achyuta bhava, it is devoid of remembrance or meditation upon the Lord achyuta, that is also worthless. Na shobhate jnanam alam niranjanam. Na shobhate jnanam alam niranjanam. It does not actually, it is of no use. So like that, uh, here the discussion is going on much more deeper. First of all, he says that materialistic literature is no good. Then only transcendental literature is good. Even in transcendental literature also, if the literature is not about achyuta bhava, then that also is not good. So although nashkarmya is a very pious word, but if it is devoid of the Lord, it is not good. Analogy. What does the analogy of boat disturbed with agitating wind signifies? Diverted mind of pantheists, desires, mind of materialistic people, knowledge of self-realization.
Diverted mind of Panthe.
Diverted mind of pantheists. So what are pantheists? Who are pantheists? What is the meaning of the word pantheist?
They are in between the atheist and the
No. What does the word, what does the suffix or prefix pan means? Pan. When we say pan India,
all.
all. So these people are theists, but all kind of theists. What does
Okay.
all kind of theist means? What does all kind of theist means? They will go to Sai
Those
Baba
who
temple also.
demigods
They will-
also.
Yeah, they will go to demigod temples also. They will go to Sai Baba temple also. They will, I mean, temple in the sense, when I say when they go to the temple, I mean devotees can also go to these temples. I am not trying to tell you that, but what I mean to say is their faith is everywhere. Their faith, or they think that everything is related to the ultimate absolute truth. This particular demigod is also absolute truth. That particular devata is also absolute truth. This particular personality is also absolute truth. So they don't have the correct understanding of who is who. Like we just discussed short while ago, Lord Krishna 100%, Lord Vishnu 93 or 94%, Lord Shiva 84%, isn't it? We discussed everything very categorically. This is Lord Krishna is the Swam Bhagwan. Lord Vishnu actually is the plenary portion of Lord Krishna. Lord Shiva is actually the Guna Avatar of Lord Krishna. But pantheist doesn't think like that. Pantheist, the way pantheists think is Oh, he is also absolute truth. He is also absolute truth. Brahman is also absolute truth. Some other small devta is also absolute truth. That devta is also absolute truth. These are the pantheists. So diverted mind of pantheists, which is actually same as boat disturbed with agitating wind. Now, when a boat is subjected to winds from different directions, what will happen? The boat either sometimes will go here, sometimes will go there, sometimes will go backward, sometimes will go forward, like this. So that is how the pantheists are. They go everywhere. So it is a disturbed boat. Hmm. So diverted mind of pantheists. I hope that is clear. So correct answer is diverted mind of pantheists. In which context this verse had come? 5:14. In what context this verse came? So here Narad Muni was telling to Vyasdev that actually you presented many things in your presentation of Vedic literature. You presented karma yoga, you presented dhyan yoga, you presented uh, bhakti yoga, and you presented everything. So people actually have become disturbed. People have become confused. So this is what he's trying to say by this analogy. Okay. Mistake done unknowingly. What mistake has been committed by Vyas by writing a book like Mahabharat? Wrote the book in the form of a story, encouraged enjoying tendency in the name of religion, should not have written a book which describes a war. He wanted to earn good name for himself by writing such an entertaining book. What is the correct answer?
Option B.
Option B.
Option B.
So Jeevan Prabhu saying option B, and Manish ji is saying option D.
No, B only.
B also B only. Okay.
Yes.
Anyone
I
else?
B.
B for Bombay, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
everyone agrees. Full majority.
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Lock कर दिया जाए. B, yes. Encouraged enjoying tendency in the name of religion. So can anyone explain what does it mean?
The people
Prabhu,
in
something
general
like
are naturally inclined to enjoy, and Vyasdev this way encourage them to enjoy more in the name of religion. This is verily condemned and is considered unreasonable by Srila Narada. Since Vedic knowledge is primarily to assist living beings to help them go back to the Lord, rather than helping them enjoying the material possessions as it is depicted in Mahabharata. So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is to break their total context of Mahabharata. They should not be totally dependent on whatever is written in Mahabharata.
Correct. Now, see, the reason is that because Vyasdev did not emphasize enough. See, a good teacher is who which emphasizes. Now, teacher may teach multiple things in the class, but a good teacher is that when he teaches in the class, he emphasizes. See, this point is very important. Now, Vyasdev actually forgot to emphasize something. And what was that? He forgot to emphasize the relevance of bhakti, the importance of glorifying Lord Krishna, etc. Because he forgot to emphasize on that, people were confused and they thought that every instruction that Vyasdev has written has equal footing. This is also okay, this is also okay, this is also okay. And if Vyasdev is writing something this in Mahabharata, this is also part of religion, part of the topmost religion. And that is why, because of that, Vyasdev unknowingly encouraged the enjoying tendency in the name of religion. That's what the problem was. And that's what Narad Muni is actually condemning here. It is
People
he's
will
saying that
hardly care for prohibitions.
correct, correct. Because if you don't know what is the important thing, what is the topmost thing, you will be confused. 2 days ago, I was sitting in the office and we were having some lunch together with 4 or 5 of my colleagues. And one of the colleague actually mentioned that, see, if you read Mahabharata, Dhritarashtra is encouraging irreligiosity. Dhritarashtra actually encouraged the disrobing of a woman in the court. So what kind of literature is this? Now this is when I was hearing these statements, I was remembering this particular verse from Bhagavatam. This is actually happening even today. Even today, people are confused. They don't even know what is the topmost religion, and that is why the Bhagavatam is very, very important. People actually don't know much about Bhagavatam, that and all these things. So uh, uh, just giving an example on from the present day context also. Okay, duty
Maybe
and
I
bhakti.
just wanted to add one more thing there.
Yes, Prabhu.
So the people are looking for sense gratification. And if
Yeah.
you read Mahabharata, there's a lot of sense gratification in terms of politics, story,
Correct.
war,
Correct.
etc. So,
Correct.
which is sort of encouraging. That is what. So people are enjoying it as a sense, and that's why the serial also ran so well. People are
Yeah.
enjoying it as a drama, as a this thing,
Right.
not as a in the name of religion.
In the name of religion. Correct.
Not realizing that
Correct.
that is not the real religion. Real
Correct,
religion is something like Bhagavad Gita in that, and a few portions of that.
Right. And that reminds me one more instance from my life. I think almost maybe 7-8 years ago, I was doing some book distribution service. And in that book distribution, I took several books, including Mahabharat, and went to a hospital to distribute these books. And I was talking to one lady. These are several books I have. Which one do you want to take? So the lady picked up Mahabharat, saying that it is actually very interesting. There is a lot of politics in it. So she readily agreed to purchase Mahabharat, although I had many other books with me. So this is very true regarding this book. Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice point. Okay, 17th. Perfect duty without bhakti is superior to bhakti with imperfections in duty. True, false.
False.
Perfect duty without bhakti is superior to bhakti with imperfections in duty. Okay, this is false. Everyone agrees?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Any karma yogis here? Okay, so everyone agrees. Okay, correct answer is false. So perfect duty. So now you can see material literature is rejected. Nesh karma is rejected. Even karma, karma means doing your duty perfectly. That is also rejected if it is devoid of bhakti. If it is devoid of bhakti, that is also rejected in Bhagavatam. So dharma projita kaitavotra parmo nirmatsaranam sadam. The second verse of Bhagavatam. You would have remembered this verse in your shloka memorization class. That is being mentioned again and again. So no, nothing doing except bhakti, everything is being rejected. So you can see how Vyasdev is emphasizing now on bhakti alone in Srimad Bhagavatam. Narad Muni's qualities. Narad Muni in his previous life as a child was not naughty, no attachment for sports, self-controlled, all of the above. Now, as per Rakesh Prabhu's formula,
All of the above.
you
All
know
of
the
them.
answer, all of the above. So I have to be careful now from next time onwards. Okay, all of the above. Made my job more difficult. Question number 19. Narad Muni in his previous life became purified simply by charity work, worshipping the Lord daily, serving the pure devotees, meditation.
Serving the pure devotees.
Serving the pure duty.
Serving the pure devotees. Correct, Prabhu. Okay. So this is very important. Huh? So bhakti does not require reading big books. Even if you serve the pure devotees, hear sincerely from them, then also your life is perfect or can become perfect. Question number 20. The analogy of milk products causing disease is to explain the following point. The bondage due to material activities can never be cured. Karma done with material consciousness bound us, while karma done with spiritual consciousness liberate us. One should regulate eating too much sweets made from milk. When a disease is due to eating too many sweets, medicated curd can cure the disease? Answer is
B.
Jesus. Sorry,
B.
D for Delhi.
No, B for boy.
B for
D.
boy. B for boy.
Yes.
Right? Everyone agrees?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. If you ask me,
Prabhuji, you are not audible.
Yeah,
We
we cannot
lost
hear
your
you,
voice,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji. We lost your voice.
I think his internet connection got lost, I think.
Prabhuji, we lost your voice.
प्रभु जी का इंटरनेट डाउन हो गया प्रभु जी अभी कोशिश कर रहे हैं वो ही इज ट्राइंग
आपने फोन किया था राकेश प्रभु?
यस प्रभु जी
ओके.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you hear me?
यस प्रभु जी
Oh, sorry, the internet got down, so I temporarily lost connection. Now I think I'm back. So let me share the screen once again. What was I saying? I was trying to share something with you. Where
20th
did I?
question.
Question 20.
Ha. So 20th question is something which I really liked it when I was teaching it, and after I was teaching it, I was reflecting upon this particular verse for several days, and I really like this analogy. So the correct answer here is B. But what I was trying to say when I lost the connection was that this particular analogy, if you reflect a little deeply, actually is the foundation of Bhagavad Gita. The philosophy that we read in Bhagavad Gita, in principle about Karma Yoga, and then the advanced form of Karma Yoga, that is Bhakti Yoga, it is the foundation of the Bhagavad Gita principle. So how do we understand this is that if you read Bhagavad Gita, in which Lord Krishna is encouraging Arjuna to fight, and so first of all he mentions that you are not this body, you are a spirit soul, and next quality that he mentions in Bhagavad Gita is that this soul is something which characterizes this one quality, that a soul cannot be cannot live without activity even for a moment. you cannot separate the tendency of acting or doing something in a soul. So that is the foundation quality of the soul, that it has to be active. It has to do something. Now, when we do something, when we do some karma, if we don't do this karma according to the principles of Shastra, we get bound, we get bondage in the karma phala, in this sansar. But if we do this activity in the proper way, and the best activity is that if we act in the out of devotion of Lord, then we can get our freedom. We can actually reach the topmost destination, that is the abode of the Supreme Lord. So that is what I wanted to share with the class, that this particular analogy is really important. If we do our activity with material consciousness, we are bound to get caught up in the chakra, the sansar chakra. But if we do it in the proper spiritual consciousness, we can liberate ourselves. That is the whole idea. And this is the whole basis of the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. If you remember, when we read the definition of Bhakti Yoga, it is Anushilanam, Krishna Anushilanam, Bhaktir Uttama. So Anushilanam means doing something, doing some activity. So both these form of yoga, this is Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, are activity oriented. However, the other two forms of yoga, which is Jnana Yoga and Dhyan Yoga, they are not activity oriented. They actually kind of tell that we are not going to do actively something. They are only restricted to some very specific activities, not any kind of activity. So that is what I wanted to share with the class. Okay. Audience of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for following class of people: advanced spiritualists, ordinary people afflicted with miseries, both A and B, none of the above. Correct answer?
Both A and B.
Both A and B. So this is a very special literature. Even who are advanced in bhakti or advanced spiritually, they can also relish this. Those who are beginners, they can also enjoy it. They can also take benefit out of it. So with that, I think this was the last one. Yes. So all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. And next class will be next Sunday. And for class summary, this time it is Ishwar Prabhuji. And for prayers, we have Vidya Mataji. So any other doubt or any other question regarding this quiz? Maybe we can discuss now briefly. I hope Bhagavatam so far till 6th chapter is now very clear to all the devotees who are joining our program. And we will continue our journey from 7th chapter in the next class.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yes.
So looks like there's no question. So we end up the session here. Thank you very much.
नारायण नाम का रेफरेंस उसमें आया था प्रभु जी।
हाँ, सही है।
1.3.42 के पर पॉइंट में।
Okay, let me check. Okay.
उसमें आया प्रभु जी।
Okay, Prabhuji, I will check. Okay, thank you very much for joining. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.